and welcome to Tarmac, or should I say hello. I am Sven. Actually, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matthew, and as you can see, Thor's hammer is back. That's right, this is the Volvo XC40 Recharge, Volvo's first electric car.
That's what I was going to say. But anyway, yes it is, and it's right here in New Zealand. Come, let's take a look at it. As Matthew so rudely interrupted and put in front of you, this is basically Volvo's first introduction to their EV platform, or their EV vehicles that are going to really be all of their vehicles they move forward. So the XC40, the XC90 is going to be an EV as well, and then you've got the EX30, I think, which is going to be basically just a real big game changer for them. But as you'll notice looking around it, this is actually just the same as an XC regular petrol version. I mean, they haven't really done that much to it in terms of size and also appearance until you start to look a little bit closer. So when you do look closer, you'll see that the grille now is more of a panel because there's no engine behind it now. There's actually some front space, 31 litres of front space underneath here. But the good thing about it, you do still get these Thor headlights, which are LEDs, or actually the Thor DRLs, and the headlights are basically LEDs and matrix, and so they make sure they don't dazzle anybody on the way through. The rest of it is very much based around aerodynamicness, and it is actually very aerodynamic. So it's got a CD, or drag coefficient, of 0.32, so not bad. We've actually got the ultimate model, so there's a plus and there is an ultimate. So this is the top of the line, and actually does come with a few more toys, which a lot of them are inside, but Matthew will talk about those in a minute. Our color scheme here, we've got a dual color scheme, and this is the crystal white and a sort of piano black, which is cool. And also look at these 20-inch feet. They're super smooth to make sure that the airflow, or they're very aerodynamic, which is very good. You've got black mirror caps, you've got some black sills here, and look at that. I really like the way that this shape goes through here. In terms of size, it's 4.44 meters long in length. Actually, that's where long comes in, and also around about 1.65 or 1.67 in height. So I can just see over the top, and it will fit in your garage. The other thing to point out is this Recharge sort of moniker here that makes you know that it is a battery version. Again, the rear is exactly the same, or pretty much the same as the normal XC. You've got a nice long sort of roofline spoiler. You've got the tail lights here, which actually, let's even show them. Look at that lovely angular sort of traditional Volvo shape there. You've got the XC40, and the big thing from here is the fact that it's a Recharge twin. So this is the dual motor. I'll get to that in a second. And also a kicker tailgate that opens up to 414 litres of boot space, that comes with hooks, a 60-40 split as far as the seats go down, and also look, you got room under the back here for your charging cables. And because we're talking charging, let's go and plug it in here. What we have here is the AC and DC recharging capabilities. Actually, in DC, it's 150 kilowatts of recharging capabilities, and that goes straight to a 78 kilowatt hour battery. The other thing is, because it then consumes an average of around about 23 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, you're getting roughly 420, 438 sort of kilometers of range, so it's pretty good. The other thing is, this comes with the two motors, as I just said, and what that is combined, it gives you 300 kilowatts of power and 660 newton meters of torque. That means it's a 0 to 100 in 4 point something seconds, so that is fast. Lots going on, very quick, and actually very reliable.
Speaking of reliable, well, with this XC40 Recharge, Volvo have actually ditched their old reliable full leather interior upholstery that they used to have, which Volvo became quite famous for really good quality leather seats. Anyway, this XC40 Recharge actually has a 100% leather-free interior, so none of the soft surfaces you see are from cows. Instead, what they've done is upholstered the seat in what they call Fusion Microtech, which is a recycled textile based upholstery material. And what that feels like basically is smooth. It does give a sort of shiny look in some parts and a more sort of, I guess, cloth look in some parts, but it does offer the same offer the comfort that Volvo has been renowned for from their seats, and the sculpting and stuff like that is still the same to make sure that the driver and passenger and rear passengers, of course, are comfortable even for those longer drives. Speaking of the longer drives, they have covered the practicality aspect really well in this XC40. You get incredibly generous door bins lined in a charcoal recycled textile material. Again, you get 2 cup holders here, you get space for your phone and a rechargeable phone pad over there as well. You get some extra storage in there. There is a very generous under armrest storage area. You get a little bin in there as well, and sort of in the back as well is much the same with the storage spaces. They have really put that convenience at a high priority in this car. And well, that's very Swedish of them. And speaking of the Swedish inspiration, this XC40 Recharge actually comes with flashes of a topography based design cube inspiration from their home in Sweden. It actually comes from the Abisko mountain district of Sweden, and you can see that the mountainous topography inspiration goes across the dash there, across the doors as well, and actually illuminates at night to give quite a cool look to the car. I think Volvo described it as a contemporary vibe. Speaking of contemporary, in this Ultimate model, they have upgraded the audio system with a state-of-the-art 13-speaker Harman Kardon unit, which has a lot of trickery going on, including like some sort of air amplifier, and the speakers are all tuned by another company, and there is some pretty incredible technical stuff behind that if you do know your audio. So, but all I can say is that it does sound good, which is the end product that most buyers will be looking for. Speaking of the tech, well, there is Google integrated into that infotainment screen, so let's look at that. Now, this central infotainment screen is 9 inches and is laid out in a portrait sort of orientation, as you can see there, and that's so that when you do use Android Auto, you actually display the screen as it would be on your phone, for example. To complete the phone sort of inspiration, the home button is actually down here, and if you press it, it returns to this screen there with your phone main menu. So you've got your apps, you've got your Bluetooth connectivity or Apple CarPlay, and you've got your phone and the Google Assistant, of course, over there too. And you can actually make it do lots of different things, including turning your one pedal driving on and off, adjusting your air conditioning. It will also change the radio station and stuff like that. So there is plenty of functionality integrated in here, especially with the Google Assistant. And Maps as well is also Google Maps, so nice and easy to connect from your phone and to use as well. If I swipe down here, it will actually display all of my menus and various notifications just like a smartphone would. Swipe up there and I have my apps drawer by pressing that, and you can see they're organized into different sort of categories there. The most important of which, of course, are these two, the car status and the range assistant. So if I click into car status, it tells me that everything is okay in terms of the servicing schedule and the tire pressures and all that stuff. And then if I head back into my menu and go to range assist, it tells me what my average consumption has been. There you go, 26 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks, which is actually lower than the factory rating of 28.3 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. So doing pretty good from that side there. The estimated range is 130 Ks, and again it shows you where you've been using the range as well. And if I go down to the bottom and press on the settings cog over there, I have a whole bunch of other customizable options there, including the driving assist. So this is where I turn on the off-road mode. I can also turn on the one pedal drive, and also my steering wheel, I can make that a bit more firm or less firm. If I go back into the main settings menu, the other one is charging there, and then of course the sound which are the other key things that you might want to toggle around with in terms of functionality. Speaking of functionality, there's plenty going on in the screen in front of the driver, so let's take a look at that. Now, in front of the steering wheel, you have the instrument cluster, which is 12 inches, and as you can see there, the layout is quite simple, and there's a bit of fjord blue color mixed into the generally black display. It's simple and shows you on the right your power and charge meter. You've also got your gear selector, and it tells you whether it's ready or not to go. You have a battery charge indicator down the bottom, and on the left side there you have a trip as well as the efficiency meter. I did make a mistake earlier and say it was 28.3 when rather the claimed efficiency is 23.8, so we are actually lower than that. Look at that, 22.5 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks is what we've been using. On the left side you have your speedometer. It's worth noting that Volvo has now limited all of their cars to 112 miles an hour, which roughly is about 180 Ks an hour, so you won't get up to that 200 mark that it's got at the top over there. Otherwise, the screen is very simply laid out. It's not customizable, so you either have that or don't. Speaking of having things, well, the steering wheel actually has a heater. It feels quite nice to hold. You've got some solid thumb grips there, flashes of chrome as well, and you've got your adaptive cruise control on the left side, and on the right side your volume controls and audio controls as well. So plenty going on there, and it is really ergonomically friendly, should I say. Speaking of ergonomics, this XC40 Recharge has actually been adapted to provide the best mix of efficiency as well as driving fun. So I think the best thing to do at this point is to take it for a drive and see exactly what's what.
Now the funny thing is, Matthew actually owns a Volvo, but he's got the 5-cylinder sporty one. So for him to jump into an SUV with an electric heart is probably a bit of a come down. But then his car doesn't seem to do this. So it keeps pulling. It's a 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds, which, as far as I'm aware, is probably about 2 seconds faster than his petrol-driven vehicle.
And Dave is right, actually. And actually, I think this is 4.8 seconds 0 to 100, which means it is roughly about 2 seconds faster than my turbocharged 5-cylinder Volvo. But this is a direction that Volvo is going in, the fully electric direction. They were one of the first brands as well to commit their future as 100% electric, and so far, being that the XC40 is meant to be their first EV, I think they've done a really good job with it.
Absolutely. I mean, we are currently on let's face it, a crap road, and it's smooth, it's quiet, it's also very, very quick. So having that dual motor, I mean, just tears this thing off quickly, and it's terrific actually.
Even by EV standards, I've got to say, it is really quiet, and just the way it pulls off so unsuspectingly. I mean, this is a squarish, boxy, family SUV with no leather, yet it can put down some pretty savage acceleration, and I mean, it's not too bad around the corners either.
No, it is actually quite a stoic ride, and I think that's because the platform it sits on is very aluminium biased, so it's a lightweight materials. It drives, but it's also very rigid.
And despite that, actually, the use of aluminium has been more liberal in this XC40 than in some Volvos of the past, but it doesn't compromise on the safety in any aspect. So it does still incorporate Volvo's extremely renowned SIPS system, which is side impact protection system, and that basically uses high tensile steel along the sides of the cabin here and along the sort of structure to cocoon the passengers essentially and absorb most of the impact from any side crashes.
In terms of driving or driving position, I feel actually in an SUV style, so I'm sitting reasonably high up. Visibility all round is great. Love the sunroof, plenty of light coming into the cabin, and the steering wheel feels nice and chunky in the hand, so all round quite a confident driving position.
But at the same time, I've got to commend this car because it's riding on 20-inch wheels, and as Dave said, the road is rough that we're on, but it's been so well insulated from this gravel road. There's very little vibrations, very little noise coming in through, and there's some pretty chunky potholes along here, but I mean, it's just been a comfortable ride all throughout.
Absolutely. So in terms of range, I mean, Volvo is saying 432. I picked it up 100% on around about 410, and it obviously is very much dependent on how you are driving it. I have been driving it a bit like a journalist, and testing out a 0 to 100 quite a lot. And so the range now, I think we're sitting at roughly sort of 39% with, I don't know, 180, 160 to go. So the numbers are achievable, providing you do drive sensibly. And to be honest, most people will drive a Volvo sensibly.
That's correct. I mean, most Volvo drivers are sort of safety conscious, family conscious, stuff like that. So they're not the kind of people to go blasting down a back road in the wrong lane and stuff like that. But at the same time, this Volvo might be, yes, safety conscious, and in terms of its styling, slightly more reserved. But on the inside, what they've done is added a little flashes of excitement, if you like, including that 13-speaker Harman Kardon audio system. It's got those topography-inspired designs all around, which are backlit. And on the safer side, it's got an air purifier in the air conditioning system. There's, all those, I guess, little extra features added into this Ultimate model to make it that much more interesting.
The other thing is the Google side of things. It does make it very easy to interact. You do spend a lot of time chatting to the Volvo. So I've been asking it questions about ABBA, trying to quiz it on those and trying to get it to go into the internet and find me different songs from there. It does also have Waze. It does have Spotify. It has all the things that you want. And so it is a very connected car and very simple to use if you're, I guess, not on the Apple side of things. If you're on the Android and the Google side of things, you'll find this very easy to connect with.
And it does actually include, I think, Google Play services subscription included for 3 years or something like that as well. So it does cover you from that respect of your data and internet charges and stuff like that. So it is very intelligent, I think, as a car is what we can say.
Absolutely. Now, I could be what you describe as an old school or traditional driver, and I do get a little bit freaked out when you just sit in the car and it's ready to go, especially because it's silent. But also I appreciate its simplicity, where literally you don't have to fumble for keys, you just get in and away you go. And I also appreciate the fact that there are no driving modes. There's no Sport Plus or anything like that. The speed and efficiency is dictated by how fast you push down on the accelerator pedal. And you can adjust things like steering firmness, and also there's the one pedal driving. But on the whole, this is a sit in, drive and away you go vehicle. That's pretty cool. So there you have it, the new Volvo XC40 Recharge with the twin motors. Honestly, having the twin motors does make a huge difference. It turns it from obviously a semi-sedate EV vehicle to a vehicle that does thrill off the line and offers that extra line of, I guess there is some vintage Volvo performance aspect out there. It's comfortable, it's quiet, and I think a great first step on their ladder to EV-ness.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a change in direction from the Volvos of old, but I think a step in the right direction while still maintaining those qualities that made Volvo who they are, with the safety and the practicality and all that stuff. But at the same time, there's a dash of performance mixed in there too.
Yeah, mamma mia, this is good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and we'll see you on the next one. See ya.